You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our drive home. Joining me in studio is our guest co-host, Elliot Serrano, the Chief Geek Officer of the Patti Vasquez Show, as well as the King of Geeks Chicago. Follow him on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. And I'm so thrilled to introduce him and those of you who didn't hear our conversation last month with Ellie Krug. Ellie joins us right now. Ellie is the host of The Illegal Trans Woman. And I guess we have a couple, 2-3 things to talk about, Ellie. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Patty, and nice to meet you, Elliot.
Likewise. I have to say, knowing that I'd be getting to speak to you, I did a little research, looked at your Facebook page and all the things that you're doing, and can I give you your flowers, as they say? You know, incredible what you're doing now, inspirational, standing up and making sure that you're a voice for the trans community. Bravo, really, bravo.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, you know, we're a small community. There are probably less than 5 million Americans who are transgender, and we are under attack. And it is a relentless attack. I mean, you know, what are we? Barely 3 weeks in since he took the oath, whatever value that is, okay? And in that time, he's issued at least 5 executive orders targeting the transgender community. His EEOC has gone further to target the transgender community as well by declaring that it plans to prohibit private businesses from allowing transgender folks to use private facilities like restrooms and locker rooms according to their gender identity. He's gone after trans kids. He's gone after our service members. Can you believe that? That he will drum out somewhere between 10 and 15,000 service members simply because they're transgender. It is a relentless psychological attack on a very small group of people. What does that remind you of? What time in history?
Let me think. I don't have to think that hard. Yeah. I think that we've seen the rise of the authoritarianism. You know, what was interesting, I don't know how you spent Inauguration Day, but I chose to set my own pace for what I feel we're going to be doing this for the rest of my life. And I know that you've already committed because of who you are and what you want to make sure people know about and to protect others. I was actually in New Orleans. I went to New Orleans the day of the inauguration, and I was in the World War II Museum, and it was the road to Berlin. And so I was standing there in a room with pictures of Adolf Hitler and Mussolini when I got the ding on my phone that Elon Musk had just given the Nazi salute. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was just like, this is happening. And so, you know, and the thing is for a lot of us, this has been happening to the trans community for a long time. I mean, I've never seen any sort of conversation about people's own dignity and just the right to exist come under such assault as I have in the last 10 years to the trans community. So you have lived this for a long time. What do you want people to know about what this time and moment feels in contrast to what you've experienced over the last decade or more, your whole life?
Well, this moment is far, far worse. You know, I happened to be the first lawyer in Iowa to ever transition genders, and I did it in 2009 when transgender people weren't very visible. And and at that time, I mean, it was like, you know, this is different, but we're going to accept you. The problem is as more transgender people have come out, because do you remember the gay and the lesbian movement, you know, where more gay people started coming out, you know, because people saw that people were brave, and then they decided they could be brave and come out of the closet. It's the same phenomenon with transgender people. The problem is that when somebody comes out as trans, you know, you've got to get used to a whole different gig. I mean, you've got to get used to somebody's new name, their new appearance, their new pronouns. And for many people, they think it's a choice. So here's the thing that I want your audience to understand. Everything tied into what Trump and his acolytes are doing is premised on the idea that being transgender is just a choice. You don't have to be that way. If you only got the right counseling or the right therapist or the right religion or the right, you know, whatever, we could break this. That's why they're going after the kids, because they think that if they can keep the kids from transitioning genders, okay, that it'll go away. And they do not understand that we are wired the way that we are. Just like, Patty, I don't know if we talked last time about left-handed people. Left-handed people get wired a certain way.
Yes.
They didn't ask to be wired that way, okay? And, it's just everybody is wired differently in their heads. They are. And trans people happen to be wired the way they are. But Trump and his cronies, they don't understand that. Of course, they don't care about that, but they want to use us as the reason for all bad things happening in America culturally right now.
I have to say, as someone, I'm cisgender. I mean, what was the term? Cisgender. I'm a straight male. Okay, and I cannot imagine the emotional and mental toll it takes on someone who, when you're going through this sort of thing, it's enough that you have the societal issues, just people in general having a hard time accepting that. I mean, yes, you will have family members and friends who are cool with it. They're great. Then you have others who just don't get it. And then you have folks who push back. But then to have your actual government now telling you that you're invalid, that the life you want to live is essentially illegal and wrong. I cannot imagine the toll that can take on someone.
Elliot, the government on January 20th went from my protector to my oppressor. Some would even say my persecutor.
Yes.
Okay? Now, I want to make clear, all right? You're talking to someone who lives in Minnesota. I am 68 years old. I have a lot of privilege and a lot of rights here in Minnesota. And so, of course, psychologically it bothers me, but I am more worried about the transgender girl in Birmingham, Alabama, or Little Rock, Arkansas, or the transgender boy stuck, in God knows where, Texas. And they have no rights. They have nobody. They don't even have a system set up to protect them in any way. Those are they don't have the resistance. They don't have the grit. And when you don't have hope, there's not much left for you. And we're going to be losing a lot of transgender youth and adults. Are you aware that we lost a transgender service member, a VA person treated at the VA who committed suicide at the Syracuse VA facility, hanging in a transgender flag?
Oh, I did not know that. And that's the kind of story
that happened 2 weeks ago.
And those are the kinds of stories, especially if this administration and the news outlets want to bend the knee, they're not going to report the tragedies. Just like they eliminated the maternal mortality boards in states because they don't want people to know that women are dying because they don't have access to care. And this goes to the idea that people say, well, they're just they want to say it's a mental health, which is so strange to me when they say they're mentally ill. Okay, if that's really what you believe, then why still be cruel and persecute them? If that were the case, which it's not. Right. If it were a choice, why be cruel and want to take someone's rights away and, as you said, persecute somebody? All of that. Where is the kindness? Where is this Christian nationalism? Where's the Christianity part of this? Nowhere.
Oh, it's no. Well, I mean, but they need to have a target, and we've become it's just so outrageous and frustrating. So your listeners, what they can do is remember it's not a choice. And what they can also do is, if they want to write checks, be writing checks to the ACLU, to Lambda Legal, to organizations that are on the front lines, that are fighting for transgender rights. I mean, there are multiple lawsuits challenging the executive orders that are going on right now. We've got students stepping up in a couple of states to sue over the bans on their ability to get gender-affirming care, play, and sports. I mean, people are being brave, but we are such a small group. We need so many allies to be there for us.
What are some good resources that you would ask folks that want to be allies? What are good resources that you would refer folks to educate themselves? Because, you're going to have folks who are going to push this whole ideology. Well, there are only two genders, and this is what you're born, and blah, 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 blah. But we all know that is not the case. Science already shown that gender, sexuality, all those things are way more fluid than we want to believe.
Oh, all over the place. I mean, certainly the Human Rights Campaign has things on its website about what it means to be transgender and how to come out as a transgender person. There's a fantastic blogger by the name of Erin Reed. She has a blog called Erin in the Morning, where everything related to what's happening legally with trans people across America, she's up to date. She's an award-winning trans journalist, and I highly recommend people go to her. But you can also go to your local PFLAG, Parents and Friends of Lesbian and Gays chapter, and if you can write a check to them, but you can also reach out to them and ask, what can we do? Because many of those chapters have primarily parents and family members of trans people, okay, and they're trying to be supportive to the trans community and to their loved ones.
And I would encourage folks to listen to Ellie Krug's show. Tell folks when they can catch out your show and learn more and stay educated, informed, and engaged.
So the illegal trans woman is my attempt to fight back against the Trump administration. The show airs on AM 950 in the Twin Cities, KTNF, airs on Saturdays live at 4 o'clock, and then goes into podcast. Podcasts can be found wherever anyone finds their podcast. I also have a website at elliekrug.com, ELLIEKRUG.com. If you go there, you can sign up for a newsletter that goes out to 9,500 people a month. Plus, Patty, since I talked to you last time, I've started a Substack blog titled Being Ellen, and I would love to have more followers on the Substack because I'm fighting back again with the Substack and my radio show and pushing back. My community needs to have vocal advocates. I'm trying to be one of those people, but you can't do that if you're in the basement in the dark.
I agree, and we love you. We love the work that you're doing.
Oh.
I think that it's incredible that you're sharing your story. I mean, anybody's story is hard to share, but right now, as you mentioned, the most persecuted group in the United States for what God knows what, the hatred is palpable. So again, as Ellie mentioned, support the ACLU, PFLAG, and listen to the show so that you can find out why they are taking on this challenge. Go to the Substack, be a paid subscriber to make sure that Ellie's like, are people listening? Are people reading? Yes, they are. And here's the thing, Ellie, you know this. If people don't respond, it takes a while. So please, you and you and I both need to pace ourselves when it comes to the backlash. You more than me. I have the privilege of being an ally, and it's my honor. And I just want to keep being here for you every month and in any way we can.
Patty, I'm just so grateful that you believe in me and in my work. And Elliot, it's so great to meet you. I just want to close on this. I am not afraid. I am angry. Okay? And I will resist this regime.
Yes.
To my last breath.
I don't know about you, but I don't know if you like Marvel or The Incredible Hulk. You want to know my secret?
You're always angry.
I'm always angry. Thank you, Ellie. Great to talk to you. We'll talk to you next month, my friend.
Okay. Thank you both. Take care.